A very good Tuesday afternoon to you, and I hope I find you very well on what is a relatively pleasant day here in Manchester today, so no more to be said. First video since the finishing with watches thing, and this is really something to get conversations going, because I'm sure this exists all around the first world, but it's something that we are experiencing here in the UK in ever expanding numbers and quantities, which are university safe spaces. Now, if you don't know what those are, and if you do, sorry for teaching you to suck eggs, but let's carry on. Universities around the country now have safe spaces where things that could upset the delicate little nature of the people who go to the higher echelons of education, and perhaps their left-wing leaning lecturers, cannot be upset, worried, annoyed, offended by anything that anybody else may wish to say within that particular area. Now, I guess where these have sprung from, obviously initially is going to be the student union meetings, where the actual people who run the student unions have now decided that within the university they shouldn't run the risk of anybody being upset by anybody else voicing an opinion or a thought that may upset somebody within the university campus. So they have set up safe spaces, and I can only assume, and I don't know because I don't go to university, that these safe spaces are everywhere in a university. So you can't talk potentially about your political beliefs because that might upset somebody else. You can't discuss your thoughts on perhaps immigration because people could find that offensive and possibly label it as hate speech. You can't discuss any form, I guess, of medical perhaps intervention, some things like abortion, that kind of thing, because of course that may go against the grain of the easily offended students of the United Kingdom, and indeed anywhere else in the world. You can't discuss race or gender or apparently anything else at all. So I've got a personal experience of something that worried me, I have to say. At the graduation of my youngest daughter, who went to one of the best universities here in Britain, which is at York, the speech, the opening speech, was carried out by the Vice Chancellor of York University. Now, up until that particular day, I was under what has now been made clear to me, a misapprehension. And that misapprehension was that universities were places of obviously learning, but more importantly than that, places of free thought where ideas can and should, and indeed did, run free. But apparently I was incorrect. Now, the reason I say I was incorrect is because during the course of his speech, and this was last year, 2016, the Vice-Chancellor made it clear that the ill-educated people who weren't qualified enough to hold an opinion, who had voted to leave the EU, i.e. the Brexit vote here in Britain, had made a massive ill-educated error, and had, in his words, stolen, and I'll say that again, stolen the future from our young people. Now, obviously, I can only guess from this that this particular person was a Remainer, now comically known here in Britain as a Ramona. And given my belief, I'd say, which is now proven to be incorrect, that lecturers and chancellors that should breed free thought and ideas and opinions forming within the minds of their students, so that the students were free thinking entities when they left university and into the real world, are obviously now happy and indeed focused on producing programmed, channeled thinking, blinkered beings into the world, because obviously certainly at York they are now programmed to believe that we, the older generation, and perhaps people such as myself who had no formal higher education, have stolen their future because I wasn't bright enough to understand the ramifications of voting yes to Brexit. So I find that a little bit distasteful. As I said right at the beginning, my understanding of the university was that it was all about free thought and ideas. And if it wasn't about free thought and ideas, how do people get their PhD? Because to obtain your PhD, and again, I apologise if I'm teaching to suck eggs here, for those of you who don't know, to gain your PhD, you have to produce a new, original piece of work, which can then be judged, and if it is judged as being unique enough, therefore you get your doctorate. This worries me, I have to say. Are we now going to be a country where people are going to be coming out of university all programmed to believe the same things? That the older generation spoiled it for the newer generation, that we can't have opinions on immigration and race and politics and health and medicine and anything else that we might want an opinion on, solely on the basis that it may upset the delicate little flowers who are in universities around the United Kingdom right now. And that does concern me, because this country, all the first world countries, Canada, America, Australia, all the European countries don't need programmed robots. We need people with open, educated minds who can come up with solutions, not pre-programmed automatons who just think the way that they're told and don't get offended at the slightest thing that anybody might say. One of the most ludicrous things I've heard this week, funnily enough, is that within a student union or a club, perhaps in a university, you can't make any form of sexual noise, whatever that is. But the question is, because it's not clearly defined, of course, is that anything, I suppose, could be classified as a sexual noise. Perhaps if there's some medical condition whereby if somebody is having an orgasm and they sneeze, maybe if somebody sneezed in a club, perhaps that could be viewed as a sexual noise. Who knew? I mean, because there's the old joke, isn't there? The guy goes to the doctors and he says, "Doctor, every time I sneeze, I have an orgasm." And the doctor said, "Well, that's quite strange. What, are you doing anything for it?" He said, "Yeah, taking snuff." That kind of thing. I'm just stunned that these places of so-called learning are now coming into centres of programming, where they're being told to believe that things are not necessarily how they see them, but how they are seen by the teaching staff, and that they are being told that it's okay to be offended by absolutely everything. Now, my view on life, which some of you will know, is the following: is that I can I can only take responsibility for what I think and what I say and when I say it. What I can't take responsibility for is how anybody I'm speaking to or who is in the area of my speaking, will receive that and how you will react to that. Your reaction is your responsibility, not mine. And it is also my belief that I should be able to say anything I want to say in what I perceive as a free country. This is, as I see it, just another step towards the thought police, where not only will we not able to say things that could be ever so slightly controversial, but we will not be able to even think it, because we will be afraid of the consequences which will be brought down upon our shoulders from the laws that will be in place at that point in time. So safe spaces in universities around the country. Let me know if you know of this. Let me know if it's happening in your country. Let me know what your feelings are regarding this. And I think hopefully this will get the conversation going. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye bye.